I love eating bitches. It's a euphoria unlike any other, an experience that gets me higher than any drug on this planet. The sheer ability to overpower your enemies and consume them is something that makes me fulfill my existence every morning that I wake up. It defines the very clown that I am, and it continually drives me to become something more than just a god. I often fear that one day, despite all this violence, I fear I may never be able to fully satiate myself, constantly striving for more and more until it becomes a problem. Oh wait, we're recording? Hideki Kamiya, one of the most infamous men in the Japanese gaming industry. A man who, despite his brazen and often evil personality, was, at one point in time, one of the most consistent game directors during his heyday in the 2000s, and is no doubt one of the best Japanese game developers to have ever fingered his goddamn keyboard. However, despite all this praise, there's one thing that even one unfortunate truth that I must admit about this man, and that's that he wasn't doing any of this before the summer of 1994. Hideki Kamiya, born December 19, 1970 in Matsumoto, Japan, was raised in a poor family of 7, often struggling to make ends meet. Kamiya reflected on these times in an interview with Famitsu in 1998, where he would retort, "It was hard work, but it was happy work." It was during this time, however, that a fateful event would change Kamiya's life forever, when tragedy struck just on the eve of Kamiya's 9th birthday, when his father, Yujiro Kamiya, passed away from lung cancer. Kamiya often found it very hard to cope after this event, constantly drowning his sorrows in his father's secret beer stash. However, after being introduced to the big city by his new stepdad, Hideki Kamiya finally learned to adapt to his new environment when his new cousin offered him to play some NES games with him on one fateful day. After that day, Kamiya fell in love with video games, mostly with the sounds, but he was hooked. Kamiya wasn't just enamored with the games though. He wanted to be a part of the very business itself as a game designer, and after quitting his job as a vampire bartender following his 18th birthday, Kamiya decided that he wanted to enter the industry full-time as a designer. Now, is any of what I said true? Perhaps.
But what's important is that during his days in college, Kamiya officially decided to envelop himself in the games industry, and began sending out several design documents, which is a fancy way of saying, hey, look at this cool shit I can come up with, to several studios. While most of them straight up denied him there and then, he did manage to ultimately land a potential job at 2 companies, those being Namco and his brother Capcom. Kamiya was nothing short of elated to have his genius be noticed, but it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for this aspiring game dev. While Capcom offered him his desired job as a game designer/planner, Namco only offered him a position as an artist. As far as his game design ideas went, Namco wasn't impressed, which was unfortunate for poor Kamiya since he was such a big fan of their stuff. With 2 avenues to work with, Kamiya had to make a decision. Either he joins his dream team as a jobber, or join the other company he doesn't really care for, but with his dream position. But you probably already know the rest. Kamiya would officially join Capcom in 1994, deciding to join a crack team to work on a small-time 3D title you might have heard of, by the name of as a storyboard artist.
Throughout the next few years, Kamiya, under the vigilant eyes of one Shinji Mikami and co., would work on Resident Evil 1, and would eventually even be picked as the main director for Resident Evil 2. What the fuck? Although he was pretty bad at first, admitting in several interviews later down the line that he and his team had no idea what they were doing. This resulted in the creation of Resident Evil 1.5, a game that Capcom higher-ups and Kamiya himself did not like. So, After some soul searching and the omnipotent ire of one Noboru Sugimura. Who is this guy? He's God. My bad. Hideki Kamiya would go on to create an all-time hood classic, Resident Evil 2, proving that he could competently make a good game for theater thugs like myself to enjoy, even if he barely knew how. This success would then lead Shinji Mikami suggesting that Kamiya direct the sequel, Resident Evil 3. Nope, not RE3 Code Veronica. No, not Resident Evil 3 with Jill and Nemesis. No, not RE3 with Chris Rose and Nemesis Mayhem, but a version where Hunk has to survive on a cruise ship. However, much to the surprise of pretty much everybody at Capcom, Kamiya actually refused to direct the project, instead allowing some of his less experienced underlings get their time under the circus tent.
Capcom thought this was a suck-ass idea, however, proceeding to shake things up once the PS2 was announced to be in development. Kamiya's project was moved up to the PS2 while Mikami's team, which was working on Resident Evil 1.9 at the time, had been forced to repurpose their efforts into what would now become Resident Evil 3, which would release in 1999. Kamiya was perplexed, hornswoggled even, with this revelation. Now that Mikami was working on RE3, Kamiya thought to himself, am I working on RE4? Well, basically, yeah.
Now, Corcus, I think you know what happens next, my friend. After finishing Resident Evil 3, Mikami quickly returned to his producer role for the Resident Evil series, and as a part of his duties, decided to take a quick peek at Kamiya's work, only to discover a horrid, monstrous, scary story beyond his very comprehension. Tony Redgrave, a man with superhuman abilities and guns, is going around battling bioorganic spiders, cats, and fucking half-human hybrid hunter lizards with guns. Yeah, Mikami was not happy, Bob. To him, this was not Resident Evil at all. This was garbage. A shameful display, some may say. However, instead of throwing that shit in the garbage like a lot of developers would, he instead insisted that Hideki Kamiya continue working on this project, but not as Resident Evil, rather as something much, much darker. A game not necessarily focused on horror, but action, style, vor. This horrid amalgamation would turn itself into Devil May Cry. Releasing in the summer of 2001, Devil May Cry would be a smash hit for Capcom, proving that Resident Evil wasn't the only gun in town that could sell some big double dollars. Devil May Cry turned out to be such a hit and so successful that it spawned a completely new genre known as hack and slash, paving the way for games like God of War, Dynasty Warriors, Ninja Gaiden, Spawn Armageddon, Captain America, What the fuck? Devil's Third. The game, along with its one and only sequel, Devil May Cry 3, no others, would get remastered in an HD collection in 2012 that would then get ported to modern consoles in 2018, titled Devil May Cry HD Collection. And that's innovation if I say so myself. This collection was fairly well received by critics and fans alike, obviously, mostly for bringing the games to modern consoles. However, there were some slight controversies with the quality of the ports. However, none were more noticeable in my opinion than Devil May Cry 1.
From compressed, shitty audio loops, lazily sharpened backgrounds, removed blur effects, and just missing a ton of visual detail altogether, this port was scuffed as fuck, mostly due to a lack of backup files. which forced the devs to literally recreate some effects from scratch, which didn't mesh with the original game's aesthetics at all. But at the end of the day, most people were just like, good enough, and accepted it. But for us, this will simply not do.
That is why this evening we are going to revisit this game and truly see if this is indeed the classic, the game that started it all. Me and my fellow slime Weenop will take a deep dive into this feast and truly find out how well this game has aged. Or something like that, I don't know. I just wanted to play Devil May Cry 1 again, I guess. But yeah, but there's one more twist. Because while Weenop will be playing through the HD collection version, I, the creator of clowns, Hapygourious, will be playing through the PlayStation 2 Greatest Hits version of DMC1. What the fuck is this? Now there's two reasons I'm mostly doing this. One, so I can give my PS2 Bib Sr. one final send-off since he's currently dying. But I'm also doing this so I can truly feel the raw experience many players had in North America when this game was released in October of 2001. This video will act as an analyzation, tutorial, review, and comparison of Devil May Cry. Although that description's a little too convoluted, so I think we'll just call this a Strand-type review. Isn't that right, Rickard? Isn't that right, Corcus? Germa? You? Oh, yeah. What about you? Honmade Nishtani III from Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, releasing November 9th on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox? Alright, good. Then, without further ado, let us begin. The game opens with what else but text. Kinda ironic when you think about it. A game that promotes stylish action and brutality starts off with what else but reading. Like, what the hell is going on? This text goes over the legend of Dante's father, Sparta. No, not that. No, come on. This Sparta, who supposedly fixed a leaky pipe in hell or something. I don't know what's going on. What's important is that after that, we see Jesus fucking Christ enter a strange shop, one named Devil May Cry, housing our protagonist, Dante, who is seen sitting on his lazy ass.
Again, no password. I can't seem to get anywhere.
This is Trish, who, after giving our main man Dante a very wholesome greeting, tells him that he must go to Malay Island and kill the Dark Emperor Mundus, the man responsible for killing Dante's entire family. So yeah, Dante obviously fucking accepts the offer, using instant transmission to arrive on Malay Island. Wow, what is fucking happening? Following our arrival, Trish tells Dante that the stove is still on and leaves us like a tongue from a frog's mouth, leaving us to begin our journey. Man, what a weird start to a game. I kinda like it, I'll tell you the truth. We walk through this strange little broken area, finding a weird blue orb at the beginning of this thing here. I didn't even know this would... Wow. We begin the mission by walking into a crack within the castle that instantly rises to the top, much like the cream. Our main objective in this mission is, as stated, break the evil spell and open the door. Well, before any of that, we gotta do some fucking boss-ass shit. You'll have to excuse me. Yeah! That was fucking awesome. You gotta keep this up. Following some of that boss ass shit, we begin this game by strangely coughing up currency named red orbs, or as I call them, rorbs, to this nice hand salesman, leading us into a very strange room. What a weird game, huh? During this walk is where you'll really get your first taste of this unique atmosphere this game will have to offer you. It's very close to Resident Evil, but in a strange way it's kind of its own thing, and I really enjoy it. It's something that would never really approach the series ever again, and again, I kind of like it. It's creepy, but not creepy, and I fucking love it. Here we go. Finally. What a nice guy. Giving up his key. Thank you. God, we can get through the... Oh God. He's evil. God damn it. What a shame. I could have took him out for jogging, dude. More too? Oh, come. What the fuck? Man, these guys are the marionettes. The first set of enemies you'll be officially fighting in Devil May Cry. That's right, folks. They went from aristocratic zombies in Resident Evil 4 to demonic puppets that you must slaughter. And like an unfucked fleshlight, I penetrate these motherfuckers with a weapon known as the Force Edge. A sword passed down from Dante's father, who... No! The combat with the Force Edge is fairly straightforward. You'll have about 5 moves, but realistically, you'll probably use about 3. Combo 1, Million Stab, and Helmbreaker. Each of these moves will send these ignominious, fuck-ass, disgusting, musty, foul puppets back to hell where they belong. I fucking love the Force Edge. Once you deal with these infestants, you can now open the Rustered door. Upon entering, we jump on this plane to find our third Blorb fragment. Now why or how this got here is just beyond me, like who put this here, but whatever. After that, we head down towards this device for the sole reason that the door that you're supposed to open right here is being enslaved by the puppets. They are the door's master. So we gotta go down there and kill their fucking master. And we indeed do that. Fucking hell. Down in this dingy ass basement, we encounter even more marionettes. Around this point in the game is where you might realize that there are several different types of puppets which have their own abilities based off of their color. Reds. These guys are pretty normal. They hit you sometimes, which fucking hurts. You have greens. Greens aren't too different. The only thing with greens is that they have a secret shotgun that fucked me up right here. You also have blues. These dudes are fucking annoying for the sole reason that they don't just hit you, they throw scythes at you off camera, which is fucking annoying because there's no other way of finding out besides listening, and that can be fucked up, especially when you're fighting groups of them. As you can see here, puppets can also bind you in some red strings like a little bitch, but luckily it wasn't such a problem for me as I tanked that shit and proceeded to destroy them and their brothers. Whew, that was pretty easy if I say so myself. Let's go back up. Oh, brother, not again, dude. What the f? Oh, that's right, folks. We gotta kill more of them. Oh my god. Fuck this. Did you know, in the demo for Devil May Cry, instead of killing everyone to open this exact door, you would have had to pay the hand salesman red orbs again, much like you did earlier. While this feature could have been specifically in the demo to make you fully engaged in the combat, something tells me that this wasn't the case, as there are still a couple sections like this in the final version. So, if I end up being truthful, I imagine most of these were probably removed due to how tedious it would have become. Like, imagine for example you're at Mundus's door, when all of a sudden a prompt comes up saying that you have to cough up 2,000 double dollars to go through. That shit's like the white boy tax at a foreign bar. Oh, finally. Jesus Christ. After all that shit and killing all these goddamn marionettes, we finally free the door from his bondage, I guess, walking through the doors as we end Mission 1.
Mission 2 is pretty standard, and our objective is simple. We're opening a door. For a man like Dante, though, this is no easy task. We've got a long hallway of puppets to get through, so I'm going to take this time to discuss the style system in this game. DMC's style meter is a simple enough concept that has its roots in arcade-style scoring systems. It's basically just a combat score. The better you play, the higher your score goes. Despite being so deceptively straightforward, this is a really effective system that satisfies some weird urge in the player's primordial monkey brain to play exactly how the devs intended without being intrusive at all, which is pretty genius. Later entries would have an indicator on how close Dante is to the next rank, allowing you to basically edge the fucking meter until you bust. Rants aside, here's the real star of this chapter. Alistair, Dante's first devil arm aside from Force Edge. Alright, yep, that's it guys. Video's over. Dante just fucking died. I lied. He's okay, guys. This is maybe the most disgusting shit I've ever seen. Sorry, this is maybe the most badass shit I've ever seen. Kamiya was ahead of his time. Alistair is a pretty straightforward upgrade from Force Edge, so much so that it has the exact same moveset. But what separates the two is that Alistair's attacks are lightning based, and you can actually do other things with it aside from like the same two attacks. One thing is for sure though, it is great for destroying furniture. A fucking shotgun? That IKEA furniture don't fuck around. The shotgun is a signature firearm in Dante's arsenal, and is best known for being absolutely fucking broken in this game. This will blast away anything at close range with the force of a star-going supernova. Most enemies we'll face this early in the game aren't even an opponent for this shotgun. Oh, you could pretty much just shoot everything with guns. Just shoot them with guns. Can't gain style points by just shooting, so I still use Alistair, since it's been long proven that styling in Devil May Cry is among the few things on the highest echelons of Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. This, and that Alistair allows Dante to enter Devil Trigger, an ability integral to the gameplay loop of Devil May Cry. Devil Trigger, or DT as we'll be referring to it here on out, enhances all of Dante's abilities, gives him transformation exclusive ones, and slowly regens his health. Generally speaking, I still think DT is the peak of all action game power-ups, still remains undefeated to this day. Humble beginnings, to say the least. I forgot what we're even doing here. Why is Dante in this room again? Oh, yeah, right. We gotta open a door. Down here's what we need to open said door, and we loop back around to the shotgun room. Mission's basically over already, not much else to say, we're pretty... oh yeah, right. One last thing I forgot to mention. The Witch Bitch family has come to say hello. The Sin Scissor, or Witch Bitch, as referred to by many, is another early game enemy with a special gimmick. You can only damage its mask. Hitting said mask is easier said than done. Now the enslaved hand won't bother us anymore. Through the door's open season on these baby spiders, I have just the tool for the job. And finally, Dante has done the impossible, and has, at last, opened a door. Sure hope those spiders weren't an omen or anything.
Where is our Lord Jesus Christ? I often ask this question after witnessing his birth in Jerusalem, but I don't know, maybe I'll have some luck finding him through this cool-ass door that we opened. Oh, alright, well, no luck here. However, I did find a cool-ass JPEG called The Pride of the Lion. This strange iPad speaks to us, saying that if we complete its trials, then we can obtain it. Out of curiosity, I actually go ahead and search for what this Pride of the Lion tablet means as we do its bidding. I try to find stuff on google.com, but I can't really get much anywhere, so I think we're gonna have to break out every Japanese game developer's favorite fucking book, The Divine Comedy. The book that heavily inspired Devil May Cry, as well as every other fucking Capcom game. Hell, it's even mentioned in that one Resident Evil game that we won't talk about, because I forgot. While looking into this book, I actually found information about the Pride of the Lion. You see, at the beginning of Inferno, during Dante Alighieri's journey throughout the Dark Forest, he encounters 3 dangerous creatures, each having an allegory for a certain sin. One of these is a lion, which most likely represents pride. I only say this because 1, I haven't laid my colorful, lovely eyes upon this sacred epic, and 2, I'm Nordic. I don't know what the fuck is going on in hell, so I'm just gonna assume Team Little Devils took some liberties and assumed shit, since the lion is most likely associated with pride throughout many cultures and stories. Well, that didn't really do a whole lot. Whatever. After walking outside, Dante proceeds to make his way to this strange statue, where he'll have to carry out his hardest challenge yet. Reading.
No. Wait.
Oh, that was pretty simple. Except it's not, because as Dante walks back, he proceeds to get struck by fucking lightning in broad daylight, which means that the devil is beating his wife as we speak. And if you thought that would be the only anomaly today, then you are clearly smoking dick, because immediately after getting struck by lightning, Dante falls into the ocean, walking into what looks like Sandy's tree dome, and now has to fight floating skeleton heads. Wow! These are the Sargassos. Sargassos. And they are weak as hell. There's not really too much to say about these guys. All you do is pull out your fucking shotgun and penetrate these hollow bastards. So, I might as well give you some more information on them. Let's break out the book. Okay, there's nothing on these guys in the Divine Comedy, but I did find some information. As far as the Sargasso symbolism goes, it could be a reference to the Sargasso Sea, which houses a mass of floating seaweed called sargassum, which is probably what Hideki Kamiya was smoking when he was making this fucking game. Good God, dude. Well, once you complete this challenge from Glaggleland, Dante regains his health, heads back up to the castle, and fucking opens this door. Oh no. Oh.
Surprise. I hope for your sake you got something inside that big body of yours.
A fucking scorpion.
No, James, that's a spider, and his name is Phantom, a man I've already discussed ad nauseum in the past, but now that I've read lore, I'm prepared to revisit this boss. As I and many other Devil May Kino enthusiasts have laid out, Phantom is, in my opinion, one of the greatest first boss fights in a video game, for the sole reason that he basically sets the groundwork for every other boss in this game, while also being his own man. He's all grown up after all. You see, to children, casuals, or women, Phantom is the hardest boss ever created. Like, how the fuck do you deal with this jumping? Bro's got thy happy feet. That is, however, until you find his weak spot located inside his giant fucking anus. And once you figure that out, you have to jump inside said anus and penetrate his truthful little sack with the Alistor in and out until death. It's pretty simple. Except it's not, because he then hits you with these fucking glaggle beams from hell that destroy you. These are absolutely shitty. I'm done talking, never mind. This boss sucks. I'm going to tell you a fun fact instead. Did you know, during Resident Evil 4's development process, Phantom was originally a biotechnological spitting spider that not only looked more realistic, but had more realistic moves as well? For example, if you take a gander at the early concept art, Phantom had blood running throughout his entire body instead of lava, and instead of shooting fireballs, he would have originally spat acid. But Phantom ain't like that in Devil May Cry. Oh, no. Instead, he's based off of the occult. So instead of doing realistic shit, he starts spawning lava spikes out of the devil's pulsating ass. But since I'm a clown god, I end up tanking that shit and head to my true goal. That's right, a goal beyond any mortal man's desire. You see, I don't just want to beat Phantom, I want to turn him into ash. And the only way to fully accomplish this is anal. Now you might be asking, Hapygourious, the old clown, have you gone crazy? Maybe, but let me explain. After exploring google.com and finding a dude by the name of Waifu, I decided to watch a speedrun of him playing Devil May Cry 1, and I found a very interesting part of his video. Though, not that part where he was betrayed and imprisoned in the hyperbolic time chamber, but this part in the video, a part where he absolutely destroys Phantom in less than 4 moves. Or 5? I'm old, help. This speedrun strat in question is to hit Phantom's tail 4 times in a very specific spot on his ass, like a credit card. You do this first by jumping on his stomach, then Helmbreaker straight through his ass. Like a credit card. The problem with this strategy is that the camera makes this damn near impossible to pull off though, and unfortunately for me, these psychedelics have completely thrown my equilibrium off, so I have no fucking clue how or when I am on the screen, so fuck this strategy. I'm just gonna kill Phantom, and I call it a day. While this boss fight is awesome, I've had enough anal penetration to last a lifetime. Fuck you, Phantom. I hope you never return.
Dante's minor dispute with Phantom has left him with quite a bit of extra pocket change. We'll be buying air raid and a health upgrade for the road. Dante is off to accomplish yet another vague and elusive objective, so this time we're headed to... He's fucking back. Not even 2 minutes after getting ass-whipped by Dante, Phantom is back for round 2. A competent player would reflect his fireballs back at him to avoid damage, but I used air raid as a crutch because I forgot this encounter existed, and I got scared. Still worked out in the end, and Phantom ends up donating even more money to the Sparta Foundation. Before upgrading yet again, Dante can whip out the Furniture Destroyer and get even more orbs. We don't have much, but we do have just enough for Stinger. This move is basically a requirement for closing distance in this game. Back in the courtyard, Dante can finally break this spell using the iPad he stole from Phantom last mission. This is no ordinary statue, however. We have just awakened Shadow, a pseudo boss fight? It's a mini boss. He's a mini boss. Phantom is unique in the regard that his physical form is only harmed by ranged attacks, meaning, yes, I am going to abuse air raid again. His ball is vulnerable to melee, so feel free to go to town on him then. After he turns red, you can basically just run away from him. Eventually Shadow activates his obesity bomb, and the fight's already over. There's more to him than what was briefly discussed here, but he comes up again later, so don't worry. Dante needs to activate this giant skittle in order to collect this sword we need for the next room ahead. We can then collect this ball gag after stabbing this statue. The Melancholy Soul. It's never stated just where exactly Dante stores this thing after taking it. I don't think I want to know. This statue isn't the only thing that's getting penetrated tonight though. Dante's reflection has come to life, and worst of all, it's horny.
And now you die!
Stinking ball was the last place I thought I'd find anyone with some guts.
Here we have the star of this game's boss roster, Nero Angelo. Before you go into the comments to correct me, I already know what you're gonna say. Oh, don't you mean Nilo Angelo? Yes, that is indeed who I am referring to. I am definitely not gonna be the first guy to say it, but Nilo Angelo is actually a mistranslation when DMC1 was localized for Western audiences. His proper name is Nero Angelo, but since L's and R's can get a little lost in translation when dealing with Japanese media, the name was incorrectly localized. L, as a letter and a syllable, and a sound, doesn't exist anywhere in the Japanese lexicon, so it's often substituted for R instead since it's similar enough. This is present in a metric fuckton of Japanese media, and it's not the last time you'd see it in a DMC game either. Bosses like Burial and Bile, not including his brother Dagon, in DMC4 are also victims of this. The properly translated names, Belial and Baal, make much more sense in the context of the game and its demonological backdrop. In short, Nero Angelo in Japanese, Nero Angelo localized to English, Nilo Angelo. Nilo Angelo sounds dumb as shit, and Nero Angelo, Italian for Black Angel, is a name that actually makes some kind of fucking sense, so we're going with that. I digress though, let's actually talk about the boss at hand. Nero Angelo marks a significant milestone in history, being among the first human-sized dual boss fights that make up the upper echelons of the greatest bosses in the 3D era of gaming. It's genuinely impressive how hard Kamiya nailed this shit well over 20 years ago, and even more so when you realize this still holds up even today. It really is a testament to the age-old rule of less is more. This shit is legit just...
Hey, ファットイフイメイドエボスファイト、バットイツライクだって。
simply mind-blowing. This fight's strongest suit really is its simplicity. You attack when he's open, dodge when he swings or shoots a ki blast, and taunt or shoot at a distance. These three things are all you need for a good time. No gimmicks, no fucking phantom exposed testicle smasher strat, just timing and patience. He has 3 phases, I guess you can call them, where he just teleports to a different side of the arena, where things pick up where they left off. A cool thing I did notice is that Nero Angelo's internal RGB light strips changed from purple to orangish red over the course of the fight. I don't know if this was intentional as a way to show his condition or current health or whatever, but I thought it was cool. Last thing to mention would probably be Ultraviolet, Nero Angelo's theme song. Just for starters, this shit is legendary. Just listen to it. I remember walking into this boss fight for the first time, hearing this and thinking, yep, this is fucking it. And ever since then, I haven't been the same. This theme single-handedly started my positive bias towards boss themes with organs in them. Not sorry about it either. This, married with the techno synths and guitar, make for a distinctly memorable track for a fittingly historic boss. And to sum it up, since I've been dragging this out for way too long now, as far as duel fights go, this is how it is done to the letter. Good shit. Dante somehow ends up losing this fight, as he was effortlessly winning up until now. Guess he didn't expect Nero Angelo to be classically trained in fucking jujitsu.
Well, shit. After a near vomit experience fighting Nero Angelo, his name is fucking Nero Angelo, you piece of... Dante's never-ending suffering seemingly continues as another shadow appears out of nowhere. That's right. Remember that fucker Weenop faced a moment ago? Well, the evil, monstrous businessmen down in hell have sent out another clone to jerk a knot in your ass. And you gotta stop it. Spoilers though, it's pretty easy. So instead of going over what you already know, I will instead go over to the study. Yeah, I got it. As far as references go, Shadow is possibly inspired from another one of the 3 beasts Dante Alighieri meets in the beginning of Inferno, the leopard. Much like the lion, this creature also has an allegory for a sin, although unlike the lion, it isn't as concrete. Some people say that the leopard is a symbol of lust, while others say he's a symbol for the sin of fraud, or even the sin of envy. And while some of these could be truthful with facts and logic behind it, based off of the game's interpretation, I'll just say it's based off of fraud and malice, since this ghastly piece of shit creeps up on you, mercilessly attacks you right after every boss fight. Fuck this guy, man. But anyway, as usual with fighting Shadow, he's only hurted with ranged attacks, meaning I either have to shoot him with guns or summon lightning from my bare hands like a warlock. But since I'm on my demonic thug shit this evening, I might as well choose the lightning rounds, because as the Joker once said, chitty chitty bang, murder everything. Once you click-clack his ass enough, he'll eventually reveal his secret ball, which you annihilate. It's easier said than done though. During my very first playthrough of this game, I was mercilessly assaulted by this guy. I straight up struggled with Shadow's attacks, not only due to how fast he is, but because of how unique his moveset is. For some unknown reason, Shadow has about 35 different moves that fucking obliterate you. From chomping attacks, long piercing spikes, ground spikes, air attacks. This dude has it all for some reason. Yet despite all of these, with years of training under my belt, I now tank every single one of the attacks. Fuck this beast, for I am now the apex predator. I will now eat this ghastly feline like a fly in a frog's mouth. The main goal of this mission is to kill Shadow, descend to this door, through this bedroom, jump all the way down just to insert a fucking Glaggletron into the door, all in the span of around 2 minutes. You heard me right. You gotta dispose of this sinful little man in less than 3 minutes. Now, most playthroughs I've seen, people usually just fight Shadow on this courtyard, kill him, and then move on up to the castle. However, for some odd reason, that just doesn't sit right with me. I'd hate not to be frugal with my time, so I decided to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Instead of fighting him down here, I'll just play with my food on the way up, and this proved effective. Unlike the other arena, you can completely avoid Shadow's long-range attacks here by just shooting him while ascending to this door spot. That way, by the time he finally reached you, he'll most likely be ready to go in ball mode. Although, it could be different for you, the viewer, since, fun fact, Shadow's health is completely randomized for no reason. Yeah, it can range anywhere from 500 to 250 HP. Fucking why? Another factor in this epic breakdown is dodge rolling, which is huge for a fast boss like Shadow. But anyway, I digress. After all that, this path would eventually lead me to kill him with no damage. That's right, son. Who's the real king of the jungle now, bitch? After that, it's pretty much by the numbers. I go through the bedroom, jump over this witch bitch, put the shit in the fucking, and boom. Just like that, the Kingdom of Israel is saved, ending Mission 5.
Mission 6 has Dante take a leisurely stroll through this rancid fucking sewer. Not really much to say about this mission since it's a filler chapter. The older DMC games had a couple of these and they're legit like 3 to 4 minutes each. It's not without purpose though, we're here for a reason. Dante must, yet again, open another door. Grabbing the key for said door activates the broke nigga alert system.
Broke nigga alert. Broke nigga alert. Is it talking about me? Broke nigga alert. Broke nigga alert.
Introducing us to another addition to DMC1's roster, the Beelzebubs. These guys actually have a surprising amount of mechanical depth for literally showing up maybe like 2 or 3 times max in this game. There's 2 variations, the smaller blue flies and the larger green ones, with each one having special attributes beyond being cosmetically different. The smaller ones are more mobile and aggressive, the green ones are slower and less likely to even engage Dante. Both have this putrid ass puke attack that can disable Dante's weapons, and the green bugs can even eat the corpses of the blue ones and gain a small boost in strength. I've never ever been keen on bug type enemies in action games, and this is no different. But I can appreciate that they have more going on than what meets the eye. Blasting the fuck out of them with the shotgun will positively obliterate these freaks. Cool, we got the key. No fucking clue where the door is, so I guess now it's time for some downtime exploration. Might sound like I'm complaining about it, but honestly, it's integral to this game's pacing, and I kinda wish more current-day action games followed suit. You'll see a lot of it in DMC1, and it helps to break up the action segments into a more digestible experience. Something a lot of games kinda misunderstand about the concept of pacing is that it's not just optional, it's a necessity if you want the player to stay engaged, since constant action's gonna lead to burnout. Burnout leads to shutting off the game and going outside and having a life. Anyways, downtime's over. Here's a fucking mini-boss. The Death Scissors. is an enemy that seldom gets any screen time in this game, probably because it's just an ever so slightly tweaked version of the witch bitches we saw earlier in Chapter 2. I still think it's a cool design, even if the entire concept is basically reused from another enemy we just fought. The Death Scissors is easy enough to contend with. Aside from him constantly using no-clip and phasing through the walls, his attacks can be dodged with some effort, and, just like his witch brothers, you gotta hit his mask, which isn't too much of an obstacle if you time your attacks just right. Or, you know, just hit him with the classic, just shoot him with guns. Just watch out for his big ass scissor blades after he dies. Once that's over, Dante grabs this wood carving of the sun from Teletubbies, and I don't even know what this is. I'll let Happy G figure out what this thing even does. That's all I got for Mission 6.
After defeating what I like to call the Brahma Bull in what's known as a local Bridgeport sewer, Dante finds something called the Guiding Light, a scalding, burning hot key that must be used on that strange Joker door that you found in missions 4 and 5. Now some of you may be wondering what the word ardor means, since it appears in the titles of mission 3 and 7. Well, you see, in the Bible, ardor is another word for great energy or great feeling, and I will tell you, are you fucking kidding me right now? No. Alright, well I guess the damn Christian lore will have to wait. As I go through these sewer gates, I often think to myself, who dropped the towel on that episode of Monday Night Raw in 2012? Who dropped the towel? But as I also think to myself, where are the damn untouchables? As I need them for later. That's when I decide to go back into this room that we previously went into. What? What? Huh? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, well, after that whole thing, Dante goes back to jobbing out witch bitches, eating them up like fucking Reptile from Mortal Kombat. Dante then Okay, finally. After getting through the door, we battle more of the sons of Father Bug. These fucking guys job so hard to my shotgun. The fucking slaughter is real. And after that real slaughter, we activate a gaggle device, and we see the cream rise to the top. And after getting back to this goddamn bedroom, which we saw in Mission 4, Dante puts the ball in the Joker's mouth, ending Mission 7. What a short-ass mission, damn.
No loading screen for this mission, not really sure why. Guess Dante's just gonna wander aimlessly for the foreseeable future. Alright, weird place to put it, but okay. We'll be buying a DT upgrade for now. Ain't got shit for anything else. After a short intermission through what is maybe the scariest fucking room ever, Dante can make his way into a conveniently boss-sized arena at the precipice of the castle. The homolust between these two is coming off pretty strong in this cutscene.
Finally!
This is the final Phantom fight in the game, and it's the same as ever. So this time we're gonna switch it up. I'll try to stay away from using the anal strat as much as I can, as well as air raid, opting for deflecting his fireballs instead. I do like how Phantom can quickly adapt to the player's fighting style. Going for a more defensive option rather than being in his face had Phantom do some moves I'd honestly never seen before, like this ICBM missile battery move. I know it might seem a little retarded to be like, wow, the boss has different moves depending on how close you are, but keep in mind, this is a game from 2001, among the first of the 3D action game genre. Polish to this degree was hard to come by back then. There's really not much else to say that hasn't already been said. We've killed Phantom a grand total of what? 4 times already? Hopefully this time he'll actually stay dead. After enough dicking around, I finished him off with air raid. Goodbye, big fucker. You will be missed. Alright. Sweet. Visual confirmation that he's finally, well and truly, dead. I really hope that Phantom doesn't, you know, inexplicably come back in any way, shape, or form in future games. Possibly with an identical moveset. Dude, that would suck. Dante can proceed through this gate to pick up King Neptune's Trident. Jokes aside, why don't more games have Trident-type weapons? Literally the only game I can think of is Minecraft. This is the second time this game teases you with a weapon pickup that ends up being just the key item. Absolute bullshit. A Trident melee weapon would have been awesome, but instead, Kamiya-sensei had something else in mind. We do end up getting a weapon here, just not what you might expect. Here's the fucking grenade gun. Not grenade launcher, by the way. Grenade gun. This weapon is interesting. It certainly packs quite a punch, but the trade-off is that the shot speed feels like Dante dipped this shit in a fucking vat of molasses prior to picking it up. It's quite slow. But, give it a chance, and it can put in the work. Nonetheless, Dante must crank that shit and lower this bridge. The next problem to solve is actually getting to said bridge. This is where the trident comes into play. What? Oh yeah, right. This part. Dante's gotta race to the bottom flight of stairs before the gate lowers. This isn't necessarily hard or even tedious, but the game could have ultimately done without this. I know what I said about pacing earlier, but puzzles like this is why they were slowly phased out of this series to begin with, and action games as a whole. On our second go-round, Dante makes it through no problem, and that's another mission down.
Well, after facing his toughest trial yet, lowering a bridge, Dante makes it to the second part of the game. And I am God. Alright, once we're done with that, we head down some stairs. This is also a really cool looking part of the game, by the way. Just wanted to mention how cool this sunset is over this overgrown yet beautiful castle. I can't really tell you what it's like on the HD collection, but the PS2 version, I don't know. It looks amazing, especially for a 2001 game. But we eventually jump down here and start heading down these creepy ass stairs, and we eventually get through these doors. And here is where we will meet our newest enemy of the fucking month, some crocodilians, or as they're called in this game, blades.
But then there's something that bothers me. What's this? He's flipping the bird. He's giving the finger.
Not to be confused with this guy. Originally human hunter hybrids during RE4's development, blades were later repurposed into lizard soldiers from hell following the transition to DMC that we are now facing here this evening. The enemy files describe blades as soldiers created by the Dark Cock to take control of the surface. They use a kind of reptile as a host body, thus having many lizard-like characteristics, including being able to pressurize their blood, concentrate it into their claws, and shoot them out like a missile. You see, the real strategy for these beasts is to basically get behind them and perform devious backshots with the Alistair, the epithet of Zeus. And while that's all fine and good, I have a bit of a different approach, and it's called fucking destroying them with this here grenade gun that I got. And yep, the slaughter. Whew, man. Well, after disposing of these sandwiches, Dante moves past to this weird space, where we see some sort of platforming puzzle take form. Man, who comes up with this kind of shit? Where can I? Is he here in the room? Can I find him? Like, what the fuck is platforming? This ain't no damn Mario. This is Devil May Cry, bro. Well, after activating the Glaggle device, that in turn activates this. The platforming in question is actually pretty simple, all things considered. The only challenge is the slight blurriness of the PS2, which compared to the HD collection throws my vision off a little. But that's fine. Still easy as hell. Come on. I mean, a 5-year-old would have to... I mean, come on. How could you possibly fail this? There's just no way. Finally. Here it is, folks. After all that hard work of platforming for no reason, we get one of the best weapons in the entire game. A weapon so good, it will make your wife squirt. I'm talking about, of course, the iFlip gauntlets. Now going to use this oh, come on, dude. What is this, man? Why? No, oh my. It's Griffin.
Are you the human, the son of Sparta?
Fuck off, Featherface, or you can stick around and find out the hard way.
Well, after this weird-ass cutscene where Griffin appears seemingly out of nowhere, I guess I have to talk about this, don't I? Well, I'm just going to admit to you right now that I think Griffin's boss fight is, quite ass. Let me explain. Griffin is a strange little beast. At first, you'd probably look at this behemoth and think, what is he cooking? Only to realize that what he's cooking is a 1-star meal of bullshit. Most of this fight itself is this. Griffin stands on the ground, shooting different variations of giant red lasers at you. Some vertical, horizontal, and even the occasional Super Goblinian Apocalyptic Death Barrage 9000. What the... Dude, shut up. Oh my god. most of this fight is dodging those said lasers and no, shooting him with guns. Oh my god, no. Well, that actually isn't that bad, to be honest with you. Like, while I do think this boss is ass, I don't think it's as bad as something as a BFB, a big fucking boss fight. But the problem is, compared to other bosses, this fight just isn't as depthful. That being said though, I fucking jobbed really hard. You foresee, it's been so long since I have played this game that I kind of forgot that the Ifrit combination is not the move at all for this boss fight. I forgot that in reality, Alistor is actually the move.
Lightning will shoot from my ass!
Mostly because I can save some brain cells by fighting Griffin in midair, due to him not really having a lot of air attacks. So, once I realized this boss fight became a fucking funeral for the late great. Anyway, while this boss is fine, like I said, it just really doesn't hold a candle to the previous ones in my opinion. Whenever I reminisce on my first playthrough of Devil May Cry, I will never forget how many times I programmed my shitty brain trying to figure out all these big brain strategies like how and when to dodge Nero Angelo's hits, or learning how to properly deflect Phantom's big ass balls. This boss, in my opinion, just really doesn't have any of that going on. Sure, you do have to dodge, but come on, man. Compared to the other two, it just kind of feels like a gimmick rather than an obstacle. Like, this should have been in a mission instead of a boss fight, but whatever. It doesn't go without some positives though. I'm not a complete asshole. My name is Hapygourious after all. I think the design of Griffin is pretty cool, and I think his arena is also fucking awesome as well. No matter what, I will always appreciate how well designed some of these boss arenas are, instead of being just some giant circle like a lot of boss arenas are nowadays. They actually feel more realistic in execution, which yes, does lead to some cheese on both ends, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I do think these weird ass arenas can actually add to the atmosphere of some of the fights along with everything else, and I think that's pretty cool. What's that? You don't agree? Okay, fuck you, dude. Anyway, but I think overall, the greatest lesson that this boss fight teaches you is that a problem only exists if you make it one. Another lesson I also learned from this boss is that Hideki Kamiya is actually a genius game designer. He gives you melee gauntlets immediately before facing this boss, making you assume, oh, I'm gonna have to use these against him, only to then end up predominantly shooting him for most of the fight. Oh, genius Kamiya. I fucking kneel, my king. Oh my god. Well, that was pretty good. After that ordeal, Dante fights some more puppets before moving on to a new enemy. What could it be this time? What? A fetish? Alright, here we go. A fetish, not to be confused with the sexual type, is basically an inanimate object that's cursed and given the ability to think freely, much like my balls. This act is often practiced in several cultures, such as Native Americans and African cultures, or some shit like that. I don't know what the fuck is going on with this juju, man. I only know Nordic magic. Help. The only thing I do know is what the enemy files have to say when asked about fetishes. Although they appear very similar to the marionettes, they have much greater evil powers. They are not the works of a man, but they do appear to have been created by an evil entity. Damn, I only wish they knew, so am I. Because I fucking make these guys job and kneel to me, thanks to the Ifrit gloves. God, I fucking... let's go, dude. Truth be told, these fetishes are pretty much just the marionettes, but this time they have the flame yo-yos from Terraria. They can also spew flames every once in a while, but I'm not gonna let that shit happen. I'm gonna shoot them with the grenade gun, and that's it. Fun fact, during this mission, you can also find a secret holy water that you can find after jumping up this tree if you're perceptive enough. Oh, thank Woden, a golden saleswoman. Well, here with this golden saleswoman, I finally decide to purchase some big maneuvers for my new outfit of clothing for the Ifrit, this being Kick 13 and the Meteor. Kick 13 is really good for chaining more attacks onto demons, and the Meteor is just insane, as I will show you later. But all you need to know for now is that I now officially have the necessary tools that I will need to kill all of these fetishes coming up. Let's go! I jobbed. Okay. Fuck me then. It's over. Well, after stretching back into these gloves, I finally get the hang of it and absolutely destroy these guys. You can really see the Ifrit and how good it is here, especially the fucking Meteor. I shoot that shit out so hard, I kill almost everything in almost one shot with this fucking... Oh my god, dude. I'm gonna come. Oh my god. Well, once we finish up with that, and we then have to pay the hand door again for admission to the next mission. What is going on? Why do we have to pay? Why not just jump? Okay. Well, we end up paying some more double dollars to this salesman, leaving us with only $1 as we go through the door, ending mission 9.
The Valley of Shit. Here we are. This wasn't a fun one to record since OBS thought it would be awesome if it didn't pick up on my audio, so I ran through this level 3 separate times for this footage. Some of it won't have any sound, apologies in advance. Either way, Mission 10 is a gimmick mission. The gimmick being that Dante's gotta follow this white ball of energy down one of 2 forking paths. It's about as simple as it sounds. The ball will enter random enemies in the arena. After a set amount are killed, it goes down one of the paths. This is easy enough, unless you're like me, and are incredibly fortunate enough to accidentally trigger Dante to go backwards while in the middle of the fight, sending me all the way back to the fucking start of the level. Amazing game design right here. Why does this even exist? I get it for going down the wrong path, since that can happen too if you lose track of the ball mid-fight, as it happened to me as well. But accidentally going backwards? Just put an invisible wall here or some shit. Bitching aside, you've got to tolerate 3 different fights in the canyon before Dante's through. One with the puppets, then the witch bitches, and finally, the blades. Thankfully, I didn't mind replaying these at least a dozen fucking times over between getting sent back and my recording software jobbing, since this game is still pretty fun, but still, I'm pissed it took so fucking long, game's fault or not. I know I sound like a sourpuss, but in reality, this level is short, and the gimmick is a one-time thing. It's also pretty creative too, I can't lie. After the canyon, Dante comes face to face with Phantom Jr., which begs the question, who did Phantom fuck to create these? Or does he lay eggs? Either way, there was clearly some infidelity going on in Dante and Phantom's sexual relationship. No wonder things got so violent between them. Before we finish out, you can grab another fucking demonic extinction bomb, or holy water for short, in this corner. Hopefully we won't ever have to use these, but for now, that's all for Mission 10.
Alright. Well, Mission 11 opens with what else but Dante getting pinned down, this time by what's called a death scythe, which will be carrying out the punishment this evening. Fucking why, dude? The enemy file for the death scythe is fucking insane. These are the evilest, the strongest, and the highest ranking of all the sins. Their deadly body attacks must be avoided. If you are hit, critical damage will be inevitable. Fuck. God, how does this keep happening? I swear, I don't remember this game being that hard. Like, seriously, do these blades really take 6 grenade shots? Like why? No. You know, after jobbing this hard, I have to ask just one question. Is this game harder than the HD collection version? I know, it does sound like a little bit of copium, but I don't know. There's just something in my clown brain that tells me this is the case. So I had to indulge. I had to go to google.com and find out if this was indeed a harder version. I mostly say this because history demands that Devil May Cry 3 was actually harder in North America than Japan. This was reportedly because of many factors, quote unquote. One theory is that the developers just made the game harder in spite of journalists telling them to tone it down. Another could just be RAM differences and all this shit, but I don't know. Maybe, just maybe, it might be the same with DMC1 too. And sure enough, that is exactly the case. While it might sound a little bit like I'm huffing that goddamn copium, it is actually true. For you see, compared to the HD collection version, which is based on the Japanese version of DMC1, the North American version of DMC is actually harder on the PS2 for some reason. While there's no official reason as to why, it's still pretty unknown. However, after doing some more research, I found that there are some people that have actually RAM tested both versions and found huge differences. For example, in the North American version of DMC1, Dante's attacks only do 80% of damage compared to the Japanese version, which just has 100%. He also takes 20% more damage from regular enemies and bosses instead of the Japanese version, which is again regular. Whew. Oh boy. This means that we're gonna have to try harder than I ever have before. And right now, this power that I have, it's good, but it's not good enough. While I do bitch and I do moan, it's still no excuse. I must get stronger. No longer will I deal with this Mickey Mouse bullshit. So there's only one thing that I must do. I don't want to do it, but I must. Is I'll have to pull out and use the hyperbolic devil chamber from hell. You'll have to excuse me. Now this is a hell of a Zenkai boost. Now that I am officially more powerful than ever before, let's get some damn brain, shall we? Well, not that type of brain, but as the game calls it, the sign of chastity. Man, this is one zesty ass game, let me tell you what. Well, while we're walking back, here's another fun fact. There were actually 3 brains instead of just one, which was the sign of chastity. The other 2 were the sign of perseverance and the sign of humbleness. I found this out through a channel called Crazy, who found this info through Twitter. God, that was so bad. While there was probably a very good reason for these being cut out, I often imagine at this point in development, Hideki Kamiya was probably ripping his ever so thinning hair out and just told Team Devil to just put one in, fuck it. And then I imagine he probably fell asleep after that, from all that fucking reefer he smoked. Fuck is... oh yeah, the chalice, right. Well, here is the chalice, which tells us to prove ourselves through a challenge. Oh, well, that sounds pretty good. Oh, hell nah. It's Nero Angelo, you bastard. It seems the challenge that the Chalice of Jesus Christ wants us to do is to fight Nero Angelo for a second time. The only difference between the first and now is that I am much more powerful, and I am much, much better than him, and I'm going to prove it right now. Welcome to Nero Angelo's second fight. Now, this fight is mostly the same as the first one, so I'll try not to repeat anything that Weenop hasn't already said before. That being said, this fight is pretty damn sick. Compared to the first fight and the third fight, it's alright. Like I said, it's mainly the same, with very few differences. The only ones being his new punch attack, kick combo, and his added health as well, which is a bitch. My experience with this fight is interesting. Nero Angelo is one of the hardest bosses in the game, mostly due to timing. Since Nero Angelo is a very patient motherfucker and waits for his turn, it can be a little tough to figure out when he's going to attack, and other times I can, and I fucking destroy him, but it's not exactly easy. One of the greatest examples of this is his fucking meteor attack. That shit can be frustrating. That being said though, once you figure all this out, this boss can be pretty easy, and I mean really easy. Trust me, you will see later. Switching to the Ifrit gloves can take this from a fight to a fucking clinic, as all you have to do now is charge, wait for an opening, then serve out the fucking dinner. Although I choked at the end. God. I gotta do it again. God damn it. Did you know that apparently you can permanently stunlock Nero Angelo in this fight with the meteor maneuver, but even after everything I've tried and even resorting to cheating on the HD collection, I either can't do it correctly or it's just not possible, and I was lied to. Oh, that would be really bad, but it's whatever. Another thing I love about this fight that may be a little bit of a controversial hot take is the arena design. This arena is fucking gas. Like I said earlier, with the Griffin fight, I get that these kinds of arenas can prove to be a little bit cheesy, but again, I think it still adds a little bit of extra spice to the fights. In my opinion, it just makes them a little more memorable. Definitely cooler than just some giant circle like a lot of games end up doing. I'm a big fan. Can I get an autograph? Of course, I can't go without mentioning the theme for Mr. Angelo, Ultraviolet, which is by far one of the best themes in the entire series. Enough fucking said, my fellow. But after a couple tries, I finally managed to use some of my new attacks that I learned inside the fucking chamber, the Inferno, which absolutely destroyed this man, which resulted in rendering him a goddamn cooked pork chop. Fuck this dude. Oh, it is over, and you are fucking dead. Get your ass out of here. Get your ass out of my fucking... What is it? My arena, yeah. Well, after all that, we hand over the Chalice of Jesus Christ to this nice soldier, activating a door, which we walk through to end the mission.
Yup, you already know what's going on. This is the first taste of DMC1's revolutionary underwater gameplay. And my god, what a way to bring your game's pacing to a grinding fucking halt. Is this what having a stroke feels like? The underwater controls are fine, they're okay. You can't do shit against this first blade, so you just gotta swim past them. Thankfully this is short-lived, but don't get too excited. It'll be back before you know it. Soon enough, we are back to the normal game, and after this encounter, Dante can get his hands on his only means of defense while submerged. Behold, the needle gun. DMC's answer to the gun that only works underwater to justify underwater combat cliche. I guess it's the thought that counts. Up here's the deck of the ship, and if you can tolerate DMC1's primitive 3D platforming, by all means, grab these complimentary red orbs hanging around the mast. You can probably get more by beating the level faster and getting a higher ranking though. But enough lollygagging, time to get into the real meat of this mission. Walking up to these two flaming swords will greet Dante with some interesting flavor text. Namely, protect the ship and you will be given the flame of St. Elmo. Now, for full clarification, this is not talking about the little red freak from Sesame Street. This refers to the anomalous meteorological phenomenon, St. Elmo's Fire, named after the patron saint of all sailors, well, St. Elmo. I know this is a video about DMC1, but this is interesting, trust me. St. Elmo's Fire refers to the phenomenon in which, under specific conditions, usually during lightning storms, ionized air molecules can create a discharge of luminous, low-light plasma, typically from a rod-like object like a mast. This has been observed for centuries, and within the context of old ships, like the one Dante is on now, mariners of ye olden days would on rare occasions see fluorescent hues of purple and blue glow above the masts of their galleys during thunderstorms. In this case, it was usually indicative of an impending lightning strike, so most considered it a good omen, on top of sailors being under the impression that they were literally within the presence of their patron saint. Nowadays, the phenomenon is mostly observed on the windshields and wingtips of aircraft during harsh weather, as well as power lines. Fascinating shit, but we gotta get back to the subject at hand. We've got another Brahma Bull to deal with, and with Dante being armed to the teeth, he should be a pushover. Alright, never mind. After unpacking this 40 kiloton box of rape, it is time to finally enter the door. Seems like that's all we fucking do in this game. Door may cry. Unfortunately, despite the path ahead being finally clear, Dante has a last-minute, unexpected visitor. Big Dick is back in town, and he's still got beef to squash with our main man. Griffin's second fight feels like you're fighting him with 500 fucking ping. Whatever this malicious red thug spirit is supposed to be, it will repeatedly pick Dante up and drop him from the top of the arena, over and over and over and over and over again over the course of the fight. I don't know about you, but this shit hurts my fucking brain. It's like I'm being lobotomized mid-fight. There's too much for my mind to process here. It's a bizarre gimmick for sure, but it's far from bad. You can dodge it if you're paying attention, and air raid is basically Griffin repellent by this point, so you shouldn't have any issues. Call it cheap if you want, I do not care. I'll do you one better. Here's footage of me fighting without air raid to absolve myself of any claims that I am a scrub. Honestly, Griffin's just really squishy in this fight. I don't really know why. I'm not complaining though, this arena is as cool as it looks, awful to fucking fight in. After numerous interruptions, Dante is able to yet again do what he does best as a devil hunter. Go through a door.
Well, well, well. After crashing St. Elmo's fucking ship, much like Halo Infinite's development, Dante finds himself in a sinking ship, and now he has to escape. But first... Oh, Oh god, we gotta talk about this damn water. Now, as most of you watching this video know, the water sections in this game are terrible. Mostly for two reasons, with the first being how incredibly jarring going from exciting third-person gameplay to shitty first-person gameplay is. But the second reason, one that I feel has more validity to it anyways, is how bad the fucking water looks, especially in the HD collection version. As you all know, the HD collection water levels are fucking poopy dookie shitballs for the sole reason that it has this Adobe Premiere wave warp ass effect going on, and it just genuinely looks like shit. However, if you look at the PS2 version, the water actually looks somewhat bearable to play through. This is because a lot of effects like the lighting, motion blur, all are used to compensate for things like RAM usage that are still present in the PS2 version. However, in the HD version, this is not the case. You see, since most PS2 games can't render correctly past 480i quality due to hardware issues, going any higher will start to see games not need those effects anymore to save RAM. The good thing about this is that the games will now run smoother in most cases, but the bad part is that the games will now look incredibly empty, which in a lot of games can really take away from the atmosphere. This effect is incredibly noticeable in horror games like the Golden Age Shin Megami Tensei games, Silent Hill, or even this game. Like, damn, Fat, this shit looks ugly as hell. But anyways, we get the staff of Hermes Cumrag from Futurama, kill a couple of crocodilians, and we swim out of this hellhole. That's it. That's all you're getting. Fuck this mission.
After tolerating some shitty water combat, Dante has finally emerged from the deluge, and we can put this mediocre boat section behind us. The Blorb Shard makes this worth it though. Soon enough we're back to normal combat. This whole mission is going to be full of combat encounters, which is a nice palate cleanser from the past few minutes. We'll be making a minor investment in the Ifrit gauntlets for now. Alright. This is a good sign. This is totally okay. Nothing out of the ordinary here. Upon reaching the end of this silly cave, Dante can obtain the Emblem Shield. This grants us passage into the Colosseum from earlier. You know, what a great question, Dante. Let's just fuck around and find out. Time to turn the skeleton lever on the giant fucking spiked wall and see just what happens. Yeah, I could have never predicted this.
The booby trap has activated.
I don't know, guys. I think
The booby trap has activated.
this is a strange turn of events. Not sure how Dante is gonna make it out after
The booby trap has activated.
Dante bosses up and effortlessly evades this shit without as much as a scratch. The booby trap has been eluded. I'm not even sure where we are in the castle anymore, but one thing is certain. This game's visuals are consistently breathtaking even all these years later. Like, even just this cave itself has this painting-like quality to it that is no doubt a result of its legacy as an original RE4 build. Also, it's a universal rule to always check the waterfall. There's always something in the waterfall. Speaking of visuals, here's one of my favorite looking arenas in the game that's simultaneously the worst to fight in. It's another Sin Scissors encounter. Actually, I lied. It's a double shadow encounter. You know, regardless of what might be here, this arena is not good. I got stuck with the Sin Scissors, and fighting an aerial enemy that can shift through walls on a cliffside is a complete mindfuck, and him flinging Dante 3 stories into the air doesn't help much either. I think it's best to fight fire with fire here and whip out Air Raid. I know, I am an Air Raid fiend, but it's not my fault Kamiya made it so powerful. Fighting on the ground here is putting yourself at a major disadvantage anyways, so I think it's fair to even the playing field. You can use his platform bullshit to get up to this ledge that is just big enough to dodge his attacks without flying around. I eventually got sick of his shit and gave him the LTG treatment. Couldn't get back up here in time to gather his goods though, no big deal. I don't need the orbs anyways, the path ahead is... Oh, Oh shit. The white boy tax strikes again. Maybe Kick 13 wasn't worth spending all my orbs on. Even destroying this totem wasn't enough to cover the cost. Hate to say it, but Dante's gotta fight this sentient Halloween decoration for a second time. And a third time. Instead, I'm gonna talk about the arena, because this shit is beautiful. At least in the PS2 version. For whatever reason, the sun will literally vanish here in the HD collection when idling for long enough. Maybe to save memory? Not to mention the skybox is just generally fucked up. I don't really know, but it kinda ruins an otherwise gorgeous vista. Regardless, Dante's worked for his dollar, and the white boy debt can now be paid in full. Or so I thought. 2 back-to-back paid doors. Damn, dude. At least you get a free Devil Star. Not only that, I just take these guys over another Syncythe encounter any day. Feels like Dante's been doing nothing but punching ghosts for the past 3 missions. 186? Sure hope this fucking covers it. Okay, good. If I had to repeat another encounter, I think I'd have an aneurysm.
Alright. Yep. Okay, cool. Mission 15 sees Dante needing to find a pair of lances to quote-unquote conquer the Colosseum. And we do that, opening this door here and killing some small fry witch bitches. Fuck these. Oh my. Yes. And we also have to dodge these weird ass spikes. I don't know what's going on, but we ultimately end up finding these lances. There's actually a note on this very thing that says that the Colosseum entrusts the conqueror with the lance. The time has come to open the door. Again, much like Weenop said earlier with the trident, I don't know why the hell these aren't a weapon. Like, this could have been really fucking cool. Can you imagine some of the shit you would have been God. Why? Why? There's also another door beyond this one. Upon going through it, we meet a little friend that shoots a little bit of fire. Come on. No, that's nothing. I think I should show him how a real clown does it by showing him my fire. Yes. This is where we also find the Luminite, which lights up the areas that we're currently in if it's dark. Thank fucking God. God, this game is really dark. Please help. This area is mostly the same as the last one, except this one doesn't have some weird ass poison floor this time. Like, what the fuck? It also has an interesting item. Now let's pick it up and see what it...
Holy fuck! I'm coming! Holy fuck! I'm coming, Lois! I'm coming, Lois! Holy fuck! I'm coming!
I thought I got rid of this shit for good, man. What the fuck? This, a weapon that has always been critically underrated. The main function of the Nightmare is that it can be charged, and then it can unleash a shot that bounces from enemy to enemy. And that is fucking really, really powerful. But unfortunately, the biggest issue with Nightmare is that it uses your Devil Trigger, and since there aren't any white orbs in the game, there's no real reason to risk using it because you need that shit. You need Devil Trigger, dog. Which is why historically most people never use it. However, I, the clown, will try, since I spent my time increasing my goddamn magic in the hyperbolic devil chamber. After receiving the dam, I make my way back to this Coliseum. Damn, this shit looks fucking awesome. This is crazy for a game that came out in 2001. Goddamn, son. Yep. Yeah, oh, here comes the fucking jobber. Might as well give him a nameplate, I guess. Oh god. That's fine, let's fucking kill this bastard. Welcome to hell, aka the final fight with Griffin. No, I jest. The final gritty fight isn't all that bad. By this point in this experience, you've definitely figured out his moveset, so there's no real challenge as far as the fight itself goes. There are a few changes to this fight, like how Griffin actually enters a second phase, even destroying a part of the arena. That's pretty cool. But the only real challenge in this fight, in my opinion, is the fucking camera. Oh my god. While I think the Coliseum is cool as an arena, much like all the other ones in this game, holy fuck, this camera is horrible. It is by far the biggest problem with all three of Griffin's boss battles, regardless of how cool or unique they look. But besides that, it's pretty much the same. Like I said, I mostly stuck to my old ways of beating this boss, dodge his truthful lasers, and slap him with my goddamn pieces of lightning until he jobs to me, Hapygourious, who will soon be the new king of hell.
Yours are definitely the powers of Sparta. Even more so. But I cannot let you live. I serve my master Mundus.
You can't fight with that wound.
Mighty is the power of Mundus. Master, grant me one last surge of power. The power to finish him. Master Mundus. Griffin, you have failed me. You are no longer worthy. Master! No! Please, no! Master, no!
The three-eyed.
You beat him. Maybe it was too easy for you.
Mundus. His heinous ways make me sick, killing even his own, like they were nothing.
What the fuck is going on, dude? After we kill Griffin, we then get a cutscene featuring horrible rain. Fun fact, in the PS2 version you can actually see the rain, but in the HD collection version, because of that upscaling that I talked about for Mission 13, The rain has now been reduced to fucking steam that falls on Dante. It is terrible in my opinion. But whatever. After we kill Griffin, we go down this fucking weird bowl. All that's left to do now is to get back up to the castle. And then we got a fucking job, my friends.
That's 2 of DMC1's boss roster down for good, just leaving us with Nero Angelo to deal with now. With the Wheel of Destiny now in Dante's hands, we can finally return to the castle. Nightmare B is an absolute monster of a weapon. Its superiority is on full display here. We're definitely getting more use out of this later, but for now, Dante's gotta take this Staff of Hermes all the way back to the bridge past Phantom's first arena. In other words, we've got quite a journey ahead of us for this chapter. Oh shit, what the fuck is this? This is some fucked up lighting. Can't imagine this was intentional. Back here in the main hall, we are introduced to another unique addition to DMC1's roster.
Stop staring at me with them big old eyes!
These guys are the Plasmas, the doppelganger type enemy of this game, which is a concept that hasn't really popped up back in the series, like, ever again. Well, besides the DMC3 boss literally called Doppelganger, who is also a doppelganger, but he sucks, so we're not going to talk about that. No, not that either. Nonetheless, the Plasma is more of a shapeshifter than anything. He's got 2 forms, a Bat form and a Dante form, both with different attacks. The Plasma's most defining feat is its ability to reproduce asexually via mitosis, and split off into 2 more identical clones. This is another cool concept that bled into DMC3 as well. The mechanic was reused for that game's Bat-type enemy. These Dante clones don't really do much besides run around and blast lasers from their giant singular eyeball. Besides that, they're not hard at all. Somehow, despite being made from lightning, Air Raid will tear them to shreds, and no, I will not stop abusing Air Raid. Cry about it. The rest of the path forward is littered with jobber tier guys we've steamrolled for the past 16 missions, so it's just kinda more the same. Wait a minute. There was a door here earlier. Where did the door go? Dante must be losing his shit. Well, what do we have here?
Hello.
Dante can take a little sip of the dubious puddle of chapel jungle juice and begin hearing voices.
One who knocks on the gate to the underworld shall borrow the strength from the blue stone. This is no game.
What the fuck did they lace this shit with? The fuck pile has emerged and made his presence known. This is Nightmare, another boss that we will unfortunately have to fight several times in this game. Now, before I lambast this boss any further, I would like to highlight the good in this fight. Nightmare is quite mechanically complex, especially so for its time, and there's a ton of interesting concepts at play that make up for the bulk of its shortcomings. Nightmare starts off in this goopy mud state where he's invulnerable to all damage, so Dante's gotta hit the runes on these walls in order to, I guess, awaken him. He'll spawn these Nightmare Jr. enemies to chase Dante while he slowly meanders underneath him. If Nightmare gets close enough, Dante will get sent to the Snot Dimension, where you'll be forced to fight a previous boss for your freedom. This alone is a fucking insane concept, and only a game like Devil May Cry could pull this type of shit off. In Nightmare's awakened Chode form, he'll reveal his weak points, these bright cores that you can freely wail on as long as they're open. This is where yet another aspect of Nightmare's design comes in. He's got 3 of these cores that are persistent throughout this fight, and the next 2 for the remainder of the game. And these cores have damage values separate from his actual health. The more damage these cores become, the more they adapt to Dante's attacks, and the less damage is dealt to Nightmare's actual health bar. The stipulation here is that these cores take damage based on how many hits they receive, rather than the raw numerical damage of Dante's attacks, so the best way of dealing with this without breaking the cores now and leaving yourself with a harder fight in the future, where he takes less damage, is to whip out Ifrit and strike each of his balls deliberately, maximizing the amount of pain per hit, as opposed to prioritizing DPS. How any average fucker in 2001 was supposed to figure this out by themselves is beyond me, but my hat is off to the dev team for making this shit so mechanically deep for legit no reason. As a final note, Nightmare has probably the second best boss theme in the whole game, right next to Ultraviolet. This theme, along with the whimsical arena design, makes this shit feel like some kind of hellish rave. The atmosphere is awesome. Not much else to say besides that. God knows if I forgot anything, we've got 2 more fights where I can bring it up. Say goodbye to the slop. We can finally deliver the Staff of Hermes to its final resting place. Platforming in my DMC game? No thanks. Dante brandishes the Staff of Hermes, which is another key item in this game that's sorta worth analyzing. The rod is, of course, referential to the Greek god Hermes, but given DMC's more occult undertones, it definitely leans more into hermetic alchemical symbolism. Honestly, I'm just gonna stop myself right here. If I elaborate any further, I'm just gonna keep going, and I might as well create a several-hour iceberg-type video on Hermeticism and the Smaragdine alone. But for now, we're focusing on the rod itself. It's a caduceus, which symbolizes a myriad of things, from peace to eloquence to thievery, but in the context of DMC, it's probably just here because Kamiya thought it was an occult alchemical symbol that looked cool. I could get all analytical and say, well, you know, the 2 snakes represent 2 opposing entities acting in equilibrium, and the staff opens 2 different portals, but I doubt the dev team was even thinking that far. Research the Emerald Tablet if you are really that interested. I can only go off topic for so long before I end up inevitably derailing the entire video. Dante used the shiny thing to open 2 portals. Cool. You can go into either one to end the mission. Whew. Damn. This is a tough fucking choice. I gotta go with my boy Jumbo Josh on this one.
The fuck is going on today? Going into Mission 17, you'll notice, fun fact, that by this point in the game, Team Devil are fucking smoking cock, and I love it. After jumping through this Mario painting, we find our way back into the castle, but this time, someone turned all the lights off. Who wants to own up? Rickard, was it you? I know damn well it was you, my boy. Fuck you. I'm going to be honest with you, this is one of the coolest sections of the game. This game no doubt has some of the coolest atmosphere I have ever seen in a video game. And it's awesome. Especially on the PS2, where there's the proper shading and lighting effect. It's awesome. Yeah. Oh boy. These are the Crocodilians brothers, the Frosts. These little fuckers are some of the toughest enemies in the game. Not for any other reason than they hit hard. So you'll need to avoid their attacks as much as possible and pull out those fucking Ifrit gloves. You either hit the Kick 13 or the Meteor and they will usually die. Thanks to honing in this power of the Ifrit, by the way, I've now officially maxed out my skills with the Kick 13, leveling it up and killing these motherfuckers along with hitting that Inferno. Hell yeah, ending this encounter. God, I fucking love these weapons, dude. After that wacky ass shit, I proceed to gain back my magic by committing literal genocide with my grenade launcher until I make my way into a room with a fucking giant crocodilian shooting fireballs. What? The goal in this fucking room is insane. I will try to describe it as best as I can in English. In this room, you must hit the fireballs 3 times, move a mirror towards another mirror, jump on multiple invisible platforms, then, by doing all that, you will receive a ball. Yep. Fun fact, you can also receive a blorb here by standing right in the middle of this outlook. God fucking bless whoever could not figure this out. My god. Anyway, after doing the JOB to these platforms, Dante then receives an item called the Quicksilver, which is a very important symbol for our next boss encounter. In alchemy, Quicksilver represents the element Mercury, which in turn represents the moon, who along with the sun combines Mercury and sulfur, also known as gold and silver, to create something known as the Philosopher's Stone, which they decide to shelter by themselves. The Quicksilver, in my opinion, is a symbol for uniting the 2 elements together for one final encounter. One fiery red, cocky bastard and his very blue, cold-blooded rival, who as fate would have, turns out to be none other than Dante's brother, Virgil.
A man with guts and honor. I like that. But it's a shame you serve Mundus.
You have to fight him, you motherfucker. There is not much to say about the final encounter between Virgil and Dante. There are very few differences between the previous fights and this with Nero Angelo. However, there are a bit of new tricks to this. Virgil uses summon swords and he also teleports. But besides that, I recommend the exact same strats. Charge Ifrit until he finishes blocking, use Inferno while he's stun locked, and jump to avoid his attacks. Not really much to add here, so what I'll do instead is break out the fucking literature. Yes, the method. The method! First of all, Nello Angelo translates in Italian to Nello Angelo, you bitch, while Nero Angelo correctly translates to Black Angel. While this might be a bit of a stretch, I can only assume this is a reference to the fallen angels who Dante Alighieri and the poet Virgil encounter upon entering the city of Dis in Cantos 8 through 9. Again, it's a stretch, but considering Virgil is literally guarding Dante from getting to Mundus's lair, I think I'll believe the reference. The name Virgil is also a reference to the same man who guides Dante through Inferno, obviously. However, the opposite seems to be going on here. Rather than guiding him, Virgil is wholeheartedly trying to fucking murder this man every step of the way through his journey. But all that being said, I would now like to see Inferno be fully adapted into DMC6, please. Yeah, now that they're both buddy-buddy and yes? Oh. Okay, fuck you, Itsuno. Get a new director. Fuck this guy, dude. We don't need him. He's a hack. Anyways, he never made a good game in his life. Anyways, kids, I think that's enough reading for now. After my second attempt, I managed to utterly destroy this motherfucker, leading to his ultimate demise. Dante loots his corpse after finding a mythic, which turns out to be Virgil's amulet. But it's not over yet, because as Dante reminisces, we get another cutscene showing Mundus talking to none other than Trish, who is ultimately revealed to be a backstabbing hoe and is directly told to destroy Dante as Mission 17 comes to an end. Damn.
With Nero Angelo down for good, we can acquire his amulet. Combined with Dante's own identical one, they join together to unlock the power of Force Edge, the sword of Dante's father. If it wasn't obvious enough, Nero Angelo was, or what was left of, Dante's twin brother Virgil. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say most of you guys know who Virgil is already, especially if you're into the DMC games, so I'm not gonna go into their backstories here. Besides, there's already a whole game about that. The linking of the amulets unleashes the hidden potential in Force Edge, transforming the blade into the Devil Sword Sparta, which looks like a fucking chicken drumstick left out in the sun for too long. Aside from taking some very loose visual inspiration from Soul Calibur's Soul Edge, Seveldward Sparta is honestly kind of underwhelming. It shares 90% of its moveset with the other two sword weapons in this game, but has ever so slightly more reach than Force Edge or Alistair. Also hope you can get by with no DT, because Devil Sword Sparta has none of that shit. On the bright side, it compensates for this by having ridiculously high damage, legit on par with Alistair's DT moveset, so don't sleep on this, it is good. But Ifrit is better, in my opinion. Dante's objective this time around is to, let's see here. Cook an egg? Alright then. Well, yeah, sure, why not? Unfortunately, to bridge the gap, it's time for more underwater combat. Worst of all, we're not fighting blades this time. The witch bitches have learned how to swim. This actually isn't hard at all, but I would have vastly preferred to not do this to begin with. Collecting these orbs makes me feel like I'm eating flakes in a fucking fish tank. Thank God. That was the last one for the game. Good riddance. Alright, fuck you. Dante makes his way back to the first Shadow Arena, where shit is very noticeably different now. This is our kitchen. Here's the stove. Now we need an egg. Don't have to go far to find it, it's legit right up here. And wow, that's an egg alright. I was expecting something more, I don't know, abstract, given the very clear alchemical inspiration behind our objective, but no, here's just a very normal looking egg. Our cookout has brought in an unexpected visitor. Nightmare must have smelled this shit all the way from the underworld. This fight should be easy enough if you kept his balls intact after the last fight. Since I talked mechanics last time, I'll discuss design for this encounter. Nightmare is a hulking pile of shit, no doubt, but when he reforms into his activated state, I love how he vaguely resembles some kind of hellish, heavily armored vehicle, and all of his moves play into his surreal visuals. He summons orbs that automatically fire at Dante. He's got a huge fucking laser, this big lance type attack. The list goes on, but you get the idea. The fight feels fittingly chaotic for a design that's basically an incomprehensible heap of slop, and he just seems to keep pulling these moves out of his ass. His unpredictable nature plays very well into his grotesque look, and for all and any flaws this boss might have, they for sure nailed the visuals. Regardless, my egg is done, and I'm not sharing any of it with this fucking guy.
Well, after fighting that fucking sentient piece of shit black slop known as Nightmare, our main goal now is to use the elixir to go to hell before you die and retrieve something called the Philosopher's Stone. While I kinda got lost at first, I eventually realized that we gotta go all the way back up to the damn bedroom. God damn, dude. Dante has went to this bedroom more than bed pissers. The fuck? That doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Once we use the elixir, Dante enters fucking hell itself, or as the game calls it, the mirror world. I don't know what's going on. What's happening anymore? God only knows what the fuck the mirror world is in the Devil May Cry universe. Apparently it acts as a bridge between the underworld and the normal world. I wouldn't fucking know. All I know is that this never appears again in any Devil May Cry media ever. Never used again, I don't think. What the fuck? All I do know is that this shit looks cool as fuck on the PS2 with all of its effects still being in place. I don't know what Weenop is rocking with, but god damn, this shit looks awesome. Especially the little Eye of Sauron up there. What the hell is going on? But I digress. We eventually find the Philosopher's Stone, a stone famously used to transfigure elements into different elements, and was often said to have given men eternal life. Now, why is this used as the key to open the mouth of the underworld? I don't know, man. Look that shit up. Don't look at me. After grabbing this Philosopher's Stone, however, a few locals of the area decide to disturb me, forcing me to literally one-shot their leader. However, they got a little more tricks up their sleeve, which involves hitting me with that Ohio Joker laugh. Yeah, this guy isn't making anyone laugh with that shit. Get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna have to kill all of them now. God damn it. Once I'm finished with the genocide, I get a blorb, before ultimately exiting this mirror world. Now that we have the stone, we need to get back to the mouth, which is located all the way back at Phantom's area. So I proceed to jump across the broken ass bridge with ease using the Alistor. Wouldn't be smart of me to jump across this damn bridge now, would it? Once we figure that out, we jump in the kiddie pool from hell, and we find the fucking mouth. Dante speaks to it, saying, "The evil darkness is whirling with its mouth open. This must be the gate of the underworld." Exciting. Wow, what a crazy motherfucker. God damn. Dante throws the ball down in the hatch, jumps inside of the mouth, ending mission 19. Thank God I don't have to talk about Nightmare. Thank fuck.
DMC1's home stretch takes place in the underworld, and Kamiya's team did a real swell job with this place. I've said it before, but I'm a sucker for abstract renditions of hell, and this place looks wonderfully grotesque. It's almost like Dante's taking a tour through the mystery flesh pit. I love how hell feels, quite literally, alive in this game. The walls and plane of existence itself is shifting, breathing, and groaning. Honestly, with this, combined with the nobodies from last chapter, you can really see the residual horror from RE4's earlier builds seeping in through the cracks and making themselves fully known. The underworld creeps me the fuck out in this game, and certainly lives up to its reputation as a place of suffering. Because if you thought dying to these frosts was bad, we've got one final battle with Nightmare to get through. Whoa.
Dante! Dante! Help me!
Trish! Whoa.
There is not much else to say about Nightmare. We fought him 3 times now. This is probably his best looking arena, and since he's got a ceiling to work with, Nightmare can now cling to the top of the fucking room and avoid all damage for the whole duration. Maybe I was just sick of fighting Nightmare at this point, but he kicked my ass here a few times. His final arena gives Dante very little room to maneuver, so trying to scurry around him and lay down the Ifrit back shots into his posterior core is much harder than it was 1 or 2 fights ago. The claustrophobic arena design also makes it far easier for Nightmare to suck Dante down into his gooey snot trap, where you will have to fight Nero Angelo a 4th time to escape. Now, this is going to sound insane, but if you're low on health, I'd recommend willingly getting sucked up by Nightmare. You'll fight a heavily nerfed Nero Angelo, and 1 or 2 hits from Kick 13 will have him crying on the floor in the fetal position. Defeating him will net you a nice Zenkai boost and can damage Nightmare a good bit as well. I was just about able to clutch this win with a shred of health left, so if I can do it, anyone can. Oh right. Yeah, I forgot, Trish is evil. Valuable lesson, everybody. Remember to never discuss cheese with rats, or else you'll get electrocuted by your closest ally, who happens to be a demon, who also looks like your mom, who also just so happens to be the spawn of a demon lord who killed your real mom and brother. Presumably. But not really. He actually lived, but the demon lord turned him into a demon. And you killed him. Because he made you. Yeah, this whole situation is fucked up. Trish's interference has just made our life a whole lot harder. This is basically Nightmare's second phase, so if you just barely scraped by until now, get ready to fucking suffer. He'll seemingly just have an inkling of health left, but do not be fucking deceived. Newsflash, everybody, Nightmare has fake health. That's right. Upon depleting his health bar, Nightmare will inexplicably cheat death and suddenly get boosted back up to 25%. Despite being mortally wounded, this giant puddle of cream gravy refuses to give in, and will continue attacking until the bloody end. I fucking died here, and nearly had a mental breakdown. You could take the easy way out and whip it out, but that won't be necessary. Dante's just gonna have to thug this shit out. Finally. We have finally fucking killed Nightmare. Now it's time to fight Daydream, his evil twin. Nightmare's defeat causes this pillar to nearly obliterate the fuck out of Trish, but Dante swoops in at the last second to save her. A well and true mama's boy till the end.
Dante! Dante, why did you save my life?
I be popping bottles, sparkles and champagne. VIP my section, royalty looking sexy, you know that be my.
You have no soul. You have the face, but you'll never have her fire.
You tell him, Dante. Don't let these hoes walk all over you.
Mission 21, dude. Well, goddamn, son, we finally beat the Nightmare. And to think it only took 12 holy waters. Woohoo! Going into Mission 21, I decide to dilly-dally Fuck killing the Dark Emperor and saving the world. I got a game to play. Because as the Joker once said, men are born for games, nothing else. And this evening's game involves us finding an artifact. An artifact called the Bangle of Time. Oh, you're damn right, Junior. I've heard the legends. I've heard the stories. Supposedly, there is a time-stopping bangle you can get through a secret mission. And it is in this mission. And you find it, where is it? Oh, yeah, I found it. Yep. I knew where it was all along. Now, here's what you must do. Please listen carefully, because this is fucking insane. In order to get this bangle, you first have to destroy a gaggle of nobodies, enter this room of bullshit and lava, fight a giant fucking T-Rex from Mission 17, if you remember, then kill 2 Frosts, jump up on these demonic eyes, then receive it. Fucking hell, what a trip. That being said, this was all easy, come on. It's not hard at all. And after completing this mission, I'll make note to use this in a second. But first, we have to fucking proceed through the mission as normal. So please excuse me. In Mission 21, our main objective is to enter through the Devil's colon and destroy his uterus or something like that. This involves us trudging through several tapeworms and nobodies. What the fuck is this dude eating? Holy, what kind of, oh my god. All of these enemies, by the way, are placed out like fucking moths to a goddamn flame. Like, damn, dude, chill out, Kamiya. What? My brother, there's only so much I can take of these guys before I fucking snap. God damn, son. During these trials, I decide it's the best time to pull out the Time Bangle. And yep, as I expected, it's pretty much Quicksilver from DMC3, which honestly I'm not really a big fan of. The gimmick itself is pretty cool with the ability to slow down time, but the execution is kind of a letdown for me. Plus, I don't even think you can damage enemies while stopping time, at least from what I noticed. So again, this is a cool little secret item. I honestly think Team Devil just added this in probably as a joke, which would be crazy, but I mean, is it really? I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, look at the dude. Like, this guy made this game. Do you really think? Yeah, no, actually I'm completely convinced. Yeah, no, I am convinced. Fuck this dude. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. I think I'm going to stick to my Ifrit meteors, thank you. Unfortunately, it's kind of too late to really experiment with this bangle, but hey, on the bright side, this will probably net me some good double dollars when I sell it. Hell yeah, dude. After getting through the small intestine, we reach the bladder, which houses these fucking bats that end up jobbing to my meteor. Oh, I'm so powerful. God, I feel so confident. Our objective after this is now to climb atop these fucking Schmeat towers, which are pretty easy to scale. I mean, come on, dude. It take a fool to fuck jumping on these up. Like, come on. Come on, dude. But once we handle that business, we fucking strafe across the Devil's uvula, only to activate the Glaggle Pass, giving us full passage into Mundus's apartment, ending Mission 21. It's time for millions of years in prison's worth of an assault on this motherfucker Mundus, or as the streets call him, Mundus.
The time has come to confront Mundus, the devil himself. Not really, but close enough. This sudden visual shift from crawling around a crocodile's asshole to the golden gates of God's kingdom is stellar, by the way. This whole hell but it looks like heaven rigmarole is repeated in DMC3, and it's done wonderfully there too. But for now, we've got business to settle with this giant marble statue of Sylvester Stallone.
Again, I
Isn't ironic that it will end the same way?
Ignoring the current events unfolding in this cutscene, Mundus' appearance as a majestic gilded statue plays into the ironic context that he's essentially evil personified. It's a fun trope, and they run with it here in this game.
Don't even think about it. Blink, she dies.
Directing our attention back to the game, Dante tanks Mundus' tri-beam cannon and demands Mundus show his true form. Mundus actually has a beard and wings, but aside from that, he basically looks the same. Anyways, Mundus tears a hole in the space-time continuum, and the two face each other in an endless void. I don't know how Dante is breathing right now either, but you know, whatever. Mundus, in a last-ditch effort, tries to bribe Dante with his infinite mother glitch, but he's not falling for that shit, and the two launch into action. Just like that, the final battle begins. Alright, there's a lot to talk about here. This is literally not the same game I was playing 10 minutes ago. Dante has inherited the full power of his father's sword, essentially turning into a visage of Sparta himself. We finally unlock Devil Trigger for Devil Sword Sparta, and yeah, this is fucked up. The game transforms into a rail shooter, not unlike Sega's Space Harrier or Afterburner. An incredibly bizarre choice for this game's final fight, but for whatever reason, it kinda works. Space Harrier, man, what a weird choice. Who on the dev team could have been responsible for this? Controlling Dante with the analog sticks is comparable to slapping on a pair of those 90-degree glasses and going 120 miles per hour down the highway at night with your headlights off. The D-pad makes this so much more bearable, so please use it. Dante primarily attacks with projectiles now, but since there's no reticle to directly communicate to the player where said projectiles are going, you're just gonna have to use your movement and fucking pray that you're hitting him. Dante can use Vortex to dodge, and DT activates this fuck-huge dragon that deals significant chunks of Mundus' health. Speaking of Mundus, this guy is not here to play. He's got a buffet table's worth of attacks to throw out, and will often combine them for maximum effectiveness. All of them are projectile based, so dodging is your only choice here. Mundus himself takes inspiration from just so much shit, visually speaking. At first glance, he just kinda looks like Zeus, but with so much of DMC's setting being rooted in classical poetry like the Divine Comedy, and by extension, stuff like Paradise Lost, it's safe to assume his appearance is largely a reference to how Lucifer was a fallen angel, an angel of light. Mundus' three eyes are also possibly related to Lucifer's three faces in Inferno. Additionally, his namesake carries much more symbolism. Mundus' name literally translates to world in Latin, and with him being a demonic prince, you know, of the world, it's not so hard to imagine that this is an allegory for how Satan is described in the Gospel of John. Oh shit! Oh yeah, right. Got a little too distracted. We're in a boss fight right now. Dante just got mollywopped back onto solid ground. This is Mundus' second phase, where I willingly pussied out and whipped out the untouchable. Look man, I'm out of gold words. I just gotta finish this fight. Cut me some slack. We can use Devil Sword Sparta's DT form on the ground here, and it's some seriously powerful shit. Dante's attacks gain a massive range and damage boost, and if you're ever out of DT charges, the good old grenade gun has your back. Just make sure you're dodging this shit in the arena. With enough luck, skill, and cheese, that Dark Prince should go down for good.
My mother risked her life for me, and now you too. I should have saved you. I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
This was my mother's. Now I'm giving it to you. My father's also here now. Rest in peace.
Great. After filling Trish's dark hole with light or whatever, Dante now has 4 minutes before total annihilation. That's right, folks. 4 minutes to escape literally the entire island, which took us like 4 hours to scale through, or else we die. Damn, that's crazy. Anyway, here's a fun fact. Did you know that Trish is actually a reference to Beatrice, the deceased lover from the Divine Comedy? That's right, my fellow. In the Divine Comedy, Beatrice is presented as this beautiful young lady who would be the one responsible for sending Virgil, Dante's guide, to Dante after learning of his presence thanks to Saint Lucia, who is the informant of the Virgin Mary. She also returns in Paradiso, acting as Dante's guide. This wouldn't be a very joyous reunion, however, as upon seeing him cry, she would call him out and basically call him a pussy, and would continue to berate him as they reach closer to God in the books. However, as they got closer, she begins to love him again, and they eventually make up or something like that. I don't know. I don't intend to bore you any further with this Mickey Mouse shit. I just think the similarities between this game and the Divine Comedy's plot is interesting in the way that Hideki Kamiya stole and plagiarized this entire story and put it in his game. What a fucking hack. Anyway, after some minor disputes with these locals, we entered this room only to find ourselves fucking falling into a goddamn sewer. Just when I thought Weenop could get the job done, apparently not, because this motherfucker Mundus is still alive, and now has to have another boss battle. Damn. Although this time, instead of appearing like fucking Abraham Lincoln, now he looks like a spilled can of ravioli that's fucking been out in the sun and rotten for 3 days. What is going on? This is literally one of the easiest fights ever. I don't know what this dude is smoking trying to come at me because I fucking destroy him with my guns. Like, what is this dude smoking?
What is the matter? Here your powers are weak, human.
No.
You'll be okay. You can do it.
What? Mother.
Okay. What? Yeah. What is going on? What is happening anymore? Alright, cool. I think I'm done trying to suspend my disbelief any further with this game. Cool. Anyway, this part is pretty simple. Thanks to Trish giving you her magical lightning powers that she previously hit you with, by the way, you now possess the necessary ability to destroy Muda for good. So as tradition in this Resident Evil game, shoot until you have 3 magics, press L1, and you finally kill Mads Mikkelsen for good.
Goodbye. And when you do come back, give my regards to my son, will ya? Trish!
Dante. Dante.
Trish, devils never cry. These tears are a gift only humans have.
We're too late.
No, Trish, it's never too late. And we humans never give up. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's rock.
Well, as is tradition for this Resident Evil title, Dante and Trish now have to escape the island via this conveniently placed plane that somehow has working engines and fuel. Awesome. This part is also pretty simple. You simply dodge oncoming rock traffic, shoot any bystanders who don't move, and you finally escape, playing a cutscene beautifully rendered in 140p.
The sky is fair. It'll always be above everyone's head, no different.
Like the sky. I feel like my heart is becoming clear.
Let's not forget, though, the Underworld's evil is still alive. They will someday return.
There's no need to worry, right?
'cause the world has the legendary Dark Knight Dante and his sidekick.
Well, that's it. No lie here, nigga, this game is still pretty good. While the PS2 version and HD collection have their differences, both have stood the test of time and are fantastic in their own respective ways. While some aspects of DMC1's identity were lost in translation during the jump and console eras, HD collection is still the most accessible way to enjoy this undisputed classic. This slam dunk of a fucking game. DMC1's legacy and just overall impact on the gaming industry cannot be overstated. The aspects and concepts this game brought to the table were, and still are, a massive cornerstone of even today's modern classics, laying the groundwork for the action game genre at large, and by extension, the entire, quote, Soulsborne genre, if you can even call it that. Games like Ultra Kill would even go as far as adapting mechanics from DMC into the realm of FPS, an entirely different genre and style of game.
Hello, everyone. I fucking hate From Software. Miyazaki, I am going to fucking eat you. Hey, guys. Subscribe to fucking Brain Alert, or I will barbecue your fingers and suck on them like popsicles and tear into your tiny little boy hole. That's all. I'm going to return to the fuck pile now. Take care, guys.
But yeah, this is pretty cool. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Just kidding. This channel fucking sucks. I'm going to annihilate all of them with a single blast. Goodbye, Brain Alert.